How's it going, ladies and persons? I'm Sixkilla and welcome back to Brute Double. We got a couple more endings out of the way in the last episode. That was the last of the normal endings. Today we're going to be kicking off with some good endings. I don't know how many we're going to get done in the episode, but we'll do as much as we can. For now, we are back where we were before when we were choosing who stays behind. This time we're going to max everyone out. Nobody stays behind. Everybody's maxed out. Let's do it. What's going to happen next? Is there no other route to take? Does somebody have to die? It was almost time to make their decision. The time to decide who was cast away was imminent. But Natsuhiko thought to himself, who do we cast away? I can't decide that. He couldn't come to a quick decision. I've seen everybody's memories. I've had a glimpse of everyone's lives. I've come to know the emotions they've had. He recalled the words he had heard in everyone's memories. Should I feel ashamed about wanting revenge? Because Hikiden saved me, so now it's my turn. I'm waiting for you to come back, Natsuhiko. So please, I don't care what anyone says, I can't let Labo's crimes pass. But do you believe that robbing the happiness of one to develop the technology to save 1,000,000 is forgivable? Because my role is to protect Natsuhiko and the others. So let's work together, rescue the survivors, then find a way out for sure, okay? Well, if anything were to happen, I'd protect you, so don't worry. I'll rewind time for Hikiden as many times as it takes. I'm gonna get these girls out of here. Everyone had their own convictions. Natsuhiko had learned that by seeing the particulars of their memories, and that's why he couldn't choose. Even though he may have been able to cast someone away, had he known nothing. But in that case, I want to keep searching to the very end, for a route where nobody has to be cast away. Natsuhiko made his decision. To stand up against despair. I won't let anyone else die. All 9 of us will survive together. Everyone's eyes widened at Natsuhiko's declaration. All of us survive together? Yes. For 6 to survive, 3 had to stay behind. That was a premise that Natsuhiko did not want to accept. Sacrificing some to save others? I'm sick and tired of that notion. What? Watase, you see, I've been living 9 years of peace thanks to Yuri sacrificing her life. I've been allowed to live 9 years in an illusion thanks to Mashiro's dedication. I'm truly grateful for those too, but are you telling me to just accept that some people will have to be sacrificed? Natsuhiko spoke to the others as well. Everyone else here is the same as me. We've all had our lives saved by someone else's sacrifice. We've all lost something precious because of someone else's sacrifice. How many times must we repeat that cycle? Everyone's faces froze at those words. Every individual in the room had lost something in that same way. However, you're running your mouth off irrationally here, dumbass. Easier said than done. Do you have any way to actually pull that off? You're the dumbass, Watase. I'm saying we shouldn't give up and accept that some people will have to be sacrificed. Sacrificing yourself is the same damn thing. Don't give up on life. Remember what Wataru said? Fight on until the very end. If you want to give up, then you can do that later, right? It's the instinct of a human individual to try and survive, regardless of the situation, right? And isn't it the logic of the human community to try and survive together without sacrificing anyone? Everyone here wants to live. So isn't it obvious for us to try and survive as a whole? Even if we were an idealistic thought detached from reality, even if it were nothing more than an impossible delusion, that was what Natsuhiko desired. He suddenly remembered. He remembered all of the unsightly sides of humans he'd seen today. Watase, whose mind had been ruled by hatred. Jun, who had tried to harm others in the name of justice. Ukita, who doubted the comrades who shared his will. Ina, who opened her heart to no one. Kazami, who tried to take the life of one she loved under the pretext of protecting him. And every one of them had held dangerous weapons. Every one of them was frightening. And once again, everybody had become unable to fully trust one another. Humans are terrifying. Humans are filled with malice. Humans are bringers of despair. That's what he'd once thought. But beyond those sides of humans, he had seen many beautiful, precious sides to them too. There, Natsuhiko saw the light. Even in the deepest depths of despair, people who were able to hold the will to survive. People could rush to save others, even at the risk of their own lives. Even in the darkness of doubt and malice, people could believe. People could love. But that itself was hope. To find an escape route from any deadly situation and to move on forward down that route, hand in hand with those next to you. Humans weren't meant to choose despair. The side of humanity that strives with the will to survive, that itself is hope. That's what Natsuhiko had learned from everybody. And he didn't want a single one of them to die. Guys, let's think things through one more time. Is there really no other way? We all strove hard to get to this point. We never gave up, did we? If any of us gave up that easily, we would have died long ago. We're the ones who never gave up. Everyone fell silent at Natsuhiko's words. Deep silence filled the control room. Eventually the silence was torn apart by Yuri's voice. Let's think, everyone. There has to be a way waiting for us somewhere. No, even if there isn't, we mustn't give up on thinking until the very end of our time limit. That's how we've gotten this far, isn't it? We survived, even when our path was filled with poisonous gas, even when fire chased us from behind, even in the most dire of situations, didn't we? When Captain Kasasagi and I were trapped under the rubble, you didn't abandon us, did you? I don't want to die, but I don't want to sacrifice anyone else either. Those are my true feelings. That was perhaps the first time Natsuhiko had heard Yuri shout so seriously. She'd always smiled quietly, she'd always cowered in fear, she'd always been thinking of others. It was the one and only time she acted selfish. Her will resounded in everyone's hearts. Her best friend smiled in relief. Yeah, you're right. Yuri, I think so too. I also agree. Well, that sounds like the more rescue squad option to me. But in all honesty, what can we do? Make a full power sprint in the 30-second span that the bulkheads remain open? That's impossible. Some of us are injured, you know. The only emergency stairs that go to the surface are in Area 2. We can't make it in time even if we run from here. Time passed even as they held their discussion. A look at the watch revealed the time was 6:07 PM, 10 minutes until detonation. Think, is there no other way? He recalled everything he'd seen and heard. Natsuhiko's memories, Watase's memories, Yuri's, Mashiro's, Saryu's, Kazami's, Jun's, Ena's, Ukita's. Nothing came to mind. The time was 6:08 PM, 9 minutes. Come on, don't give up. Think, there's just gotta be a way. He recalled everything that happened that day. Natsuhiko and Watase's confrontation in Area N, how he shattered Watase's memories. And how after Watase woke up, everyone searched for a route to survival. How even when he was threatened by malice-infected people, he still tried to save everyone and sought that escape route. Things were crazy back then, but this time for sure. We'll find an escape route. The very moment that thought crossed Natsuhiko's mind, as if to support his will. The pipes. Huh? Everyone's eyes widened. They all stared at Watase. Captain, did you just say something? And with telepathy? It was indeed Watase's voice, but it somehow didn't seem to come from his voice box. Watase, don't tell me you awoke to BC too. No, it wasn't me. I didn't have any aptitude, and I wasn't even trying to use it. I mean, it even echoed in my head too. I couldn't have been my own telepathy, could it? Then what in the world was that? An illusion? An auditory hallucination? As soon as those questions passed Natsuhiko's mind, the voice echoed once more. Did you notice that thick pipe near the ceiling when we went to the engine room? What? It wasn't an illusion or an auditory hallucination. Everyone certainly heard the voice. A something that was neither Watase's voice nor his telepathy. If that's just a dummy, then we can escape through there. As the voice continued, Natsuhiko remembered. It's from back then. That's what Watase said 3 hours ago when he tried to escape through the drainage pipe. Watase seemed to make the same realization, for he murmured dumbfoundedly. What's going on? Why am I just now hearing what I said in the past? Could residual information energy have returned again? But Captain Kasasagi wasn't using BC back then. That phenomenon shouldn't even apply. No, true. Watase wasn't using BC back then, but Natsuhiko was. He'd been continuously using sense sympathy on Watase, Our brains were connected via BC particles. Everything Watase experienced had propagated back to me. So in other words, that means the trace information energy emitted from Watase's mind drifted through the space between him and Natsuhiko. And due to the particle amplifier, the energy was amplified and lingered there without dissipating. It's only coming back now. The moment he made that realization, sights of the past flickered before his eyes. So this is really our only way out. And that means we have 3 problems that we have to solve first. How do we open the hole in the pipe? What the hell? Why was there a bomb planted inside the fire extinguisher? How do we ensure that we can breathe inside the flooded pipe? Find anything, Captain? We got a respirator set up and a transfusion kit if we ever need it, but nothing we can use right now. How do we walk through 500 meters of 53 degrees Celsius water from here to Lake Rokume? So, should we wait for the water to cool down after we stop it from running? That'd be the best way, it would probably take too much time. If you break the intake pipe by mistake, then all of Labo will be flooded. All of Labo will be flooded, please be careful. Those sights flowed before his eyes like a muddy stream. And then disappeared. What was that? They exchanged glances. There was something clearly strange about that phenomenon. It didn't seem like a simple return of lingering information energy. Naturally, it wasn't simple reminiscence. It was fragmentary sights and words. But that collection of fragments seemed to hold some sort of meaning. Wait, could that stream of information just now contain a way to escape? Think, guys. Try to find a meaning of what happened just now. On it. 9 of them pondered. We blow up the fucking pump with the dynamite from the fire extinguisher, and then flood the place. It should have cooled down by now anyway. What was the meaning hidden within those flickering sights? The first thing we heard was the pipes, right? Now should we really try to escape through there after all? But we failed when we tried 3 hours ago, didn't we? Then what should we do? How to open a hole, a way to breathe, hot water, intake pipe. There's a way to escape hidden in this information. And that way is... It was just a mess of ambiguous fragmentary information. But indeed, hidden within, there was an answer. Natsuhiko abruptly gasped, and at the same time everyone's eyes widened. That's it! It seemed everyone reached the answer at the same time. I see, so that's the way. They found the one, final route remaining. A route where everyone's survival was possible. That's it, that's it, that's it, that's it, that has to be it. His heartbeat sped up. His temples went numb. The hope they finally found at that last moment. They exchanged glances and shouted it. Okay everyone, this is the plan. First we hack into Brainstorm and get the 6 of us out of here. Yes. Then the 3 left behind will escape from the designated location. Roger. Understood. Alright. Everyone understood without anyone having to say the particulars. At that moment, 9 minds became one in perfect unison. But that still means 3 people have to stay behind. Who'd be the best to stay behind? Natsuhiko, Yuri and Watase all answered at the same time. We'll stay behind. Security Sector 6 have their eye on me and Hikaden. It'd actually be more dangerous for us to try and escape now. Yeah, after you 6 escape, I'll take responsibility for Natsuhiko and Yuri and get them out of here safely. The 6 nodded to the 3's proposal. And once the bulkhead's open, we'll evacuate to a safe place. If we board a rescue chopper, we can escape the security department's clutches together. Then after we escape, we'll go pick you 3 up. Let's reunite outside. And once all 9 of us are back together, let's migrate to the ESB Bureau's headquarters. They can't pursue us there. The plan fell into place all at once. Mashiro and Sally looked at the Natsuhiko and Yuri and spoke. I'm worried, but this is the only way, isn't it? With 9 minutes left, how is it even possible? It'll take 3 minutes for them to get to the bulkhead things. It's tough even with that in mind. It's okay, it's okay. Mashiro, Sally, we'll meet again outside for sure. Promise? And then Kazami and the others spoke to Watase. Captain, take care of those 2 for me. Hang in there, Captain, I know you can do it. I won't forgive you if you die or allow either of the other 2 to die, okay? I might not be in any position to say this, but I'm counting on you, Captain Kasasagi. Yeah, I know. That's my duty after all. There was no need for any other words. This was not a final farewell. Everyone believed that they'd live to see each other again. There's no more time, let's begin everyone. In 1 minute, we'll hack into brain cell and open the bulkheads. So please wait by the bulkheads and escape as soon as they open, okay? Yeah. And with those words, everyone raised their voices in unison. Mashido, Salu, Kazami, Jin, Ena, and Ukita dashed out of the control room. They then slipped through Area 3, rushed up the emergency stairs, and within 42 seconds had made it to the bulkhead. Good, we made it in time. Now wait for the bulkheads to open. No, wait a second, Sis isn't here. What? Don't tell me she... At the same time, Kazami got to Area 1. I can't leave her here. And with that thought in mind, she leapt to a certain office. That was where she laid Nagisa's body. Nagisa, you've always wanted to get out of here, haven't you? So let's get out of here together. Kazami left the room with her sister's body in her arms. Mashido and the others waited in front of the bulkhead for Kazami's arrival. She's late. Miss Tachibana, hurry! Matsuri yelled impatiently. They saw Kazami appear at the bottom of the emergency staircase. She made it. Let's go. Please open it up, Captain. Exactly 1 minute had passed at that time. Natsuko, Watase, and Yuri raised their voices from the back of the control room. Okay, it's time. Yeah. Open the bulkheads. They operated 3 control terminals at once and opened the bulkheads. An electronic sound rang out in front of the other 6's eyes. The bulkheads that had kept the 9 survivors in prison slowly began to open. Mashido then immediately sent telepathy to Dr. Tenkawa without missing a beat. Professor, can you hear me? She waited for her answer with telepathy, and then she heard the professor's voice. Mashido. Good, we're connected. How did we suddenly connect? Wait, did the bulkheads open? We neutralized the bulkhead lockdown with your hacking software. We're getting out of here. How's the situation over there? I was able to get through to the rescue squad. It looks like Security Sector 6 has noticed the bulkheads opening too. Mashido, get to the entrance as quickly as possible. We'll secure an escape route for you. The professor's voice was frantic. The situation seemed urgent. Let's go, guys. Run for the entrance. The 6 of them ran as Mashido shouted that. A KSN has just been detected. In accordance with this emergency, security has shifted to blockade mode, locking down all gates and bulkheads. The bulkheads shut behind them, but they dared not look back. They kept on running so as not to betray the feelings of the 3 who stayed behind of their own accord. Eventually they began to hear a commotion up in front of them. The entrance was in tumultuous disarray. Dozens of rescue workers were pushing back a massive 30 or 40 men in protection suits on 2 sides. And at the center of the parted sea stood a woman. Professor! Mashido, Yui! A look of joy shone upon the professor's face and then froze the next instant. Where are Natsuhiko and Yuri? They stayed behind underground with the serious captain. They what? It's okay, Professor, they won't die. They'll get out of there alive for sure. Sully shouted that to the professor. The professor hesitated for a second before speaking up. Understood. All of you escape. There's a helicopter on standby outside. Get through to the front entrance. As the professor screamed, members of Security Sector 6 shouted across the sea of rescue squad members. Hold it right there. You're at risk of radiation contamination. You shouldn't act on you. How long will you keep making lies like that? Yukita's shouts interrupted them. Once the Security Sector 6 members faltered, Kazami and Jun took that opportunity to shout. More importantly, there's a high magnitude bomb in the facility. It's gonna blow in 5 minutes. You all need to get out of here now. A bomb? This time they saw a clear disturbance among the Security Sector 6 members. And at the same time, the 6 survivors slipped through to the outside. Wait! Don't let them get away! After them! The Security Sector 6 crowd surged and kicked away at the rescue workers. But at that moment, the rescue copter came into view on the other side of the entrance. Just a little bit further, everyone, and we can just run all the way there. Natsuko, Yuri, and Watase didn't see what was happening, but they had the firm conviction that the other 6 had escaped. Okay, I'll go gather what we need to escape. You two, run to the escape exit. Yeah, got it. Let's regroup in the engine room, Captain Kasasagi. Natsuko pocketed the broken Alice number 1 and ran with Yuri. They headed towards the engine room. They hurried along the route as Natsuhiko withstood the pain of his wounds. Meanwhile, Watase headed for the Area 5 infirmary. There he picked up 2 oxygen respirator sets. 2 sets? This isn't enough. In a moment of quick wit, Watase headed for the factory. His ankle hurt from when Sally twisted it, but he ignored the pain. There was a single air tank left in the factory. The tank they had used in the air jack to save him and Yuri from the collapsing ceiling. There probably wasn't a reliable amount of air remaining in it, but there's still some in it. Better than nothing. Watase picked it up and then headed for Area 1. The emergency stairwell in Area 1 had the small time bomb. A time bomb that was hidden inside the fire extinguisher and intimidated Watase and Ina, but had failed to detonate. Their bomb was the final key to their escape. That's everything we need. 2 oxygen respirators, 1 air tank and a time bomb. With all those things in his arms, Watase hurried for the engine room. 3 minutes until detonation. Right at the moment, Natsuhiko and Yuri were frantically climbing the ladder in the engine room. The ladder led to the drainage pipe. The place Watase had tried to escape from but abandoned. Of course we can't escape through the drainage pipe, but I'm sure we can use the pipe to protect ourselves from the explosion. The pipe was filled with water, and its walls were 2.4 centimeters thick. Once the tetra bomb detonated, the safest place in the facility was most likely inside that pipe. And just as Natsuhiko and Yuri reached the top of the pipe, Watase arrived in the engine room. In his arms were the oxygen respirators, the air tank, and the time bomb. Watase, you're late. Sorry, ran into some unexpected difficulties. Watase headed to the pipe next to Natsuhiko and Yuri with terrific speed. The intake pipe that ran about 3 meters away from the drainage pipe. If they blew a hole in that pipe, it had submerged Labo in water. Watase climbed up there and set the bomb on top of the pipe. Okay, ready? Watase shouted and then looked at his watch. The numbers read 6:16:41. Just 19 seconds until detonation. Captain Kasasagi, this way, hurry! Yeah, I know. Watase stood on top of the intake pipe, focused all of his strength into his feet, and jumped to the drainage pipe 3 meters away with the air tanks in his arms. Sorry for the wait, you two. Quit showing off, dumbass. Natsuhiko shouted and looked to the pipe. There was a hole in it. The hole Watase had opened with the axe 3 hours ago. There was no guarantee they'd survive if they got inside. The 3 of them could still die if the explosion blew the entire pipe away. But we have to take the gamble. The 3 of them nodded to each other and slipped into the drainage pipe. The pipe was filled with hot water. Natsuhiko's wounds were inundated. It burned and stung, but still, it's nothing I can't withstand. The 3 of them held their breath inside the hot water and waited for the explosion to come. Watase held Natsuhiko and Yuri to protect them. Is it here yet? Hurry up and bring it! After several seconds, they felt like an eternity passed. A tremendous roar rang out. A shockwave ran through and shook the pipe. The sound of destruction echoed forth from all around them. The pipe shook as if they'd been tossed into a waterspout. They could even feel the explosive blast blowing through, but they were protected from it by the water that surrounded them. Eventually, after the roars and tremors died down, they crawled out of the drainage pipe. Natsuhiko exclaimed at the sight that spread out before him. The engine room was ablaze, and due to the explosion induced by the time bomb Watase set up earlier, the intake pipe had broken and begun to spew water. Blowing a hole in the intake pipe would cause Labo's basements to be submerged underwater. Watase muttered that as he watched the water flow, drowning everyone inside the facility. That's why the intake pipe was the only place they could never open a hole through. But now that we're in the situation and the other 6 have escaped, it's okay for us to open a hole in the pipe now, right? Kinda goes without saying, don't you think? Natsuhiko chuckled and looked down at the spectacle beneath him. Indeed, their escape route was right there. Unlike the drainage pipe, the intake pipe had no obstructions whatsoever. If you open a hole in there, you'd be able to escape. The only problem was how to breathe. But thanks to the oxygen respirators Watase had prepared, they all had a secure air supply. Once the basement has been filled with water, the water should stop flowing out, and there's just a straight line to Lake Rokume. And thus the 3 of them waited for the water to submerge Labo's basements. And after some time had passed, the engine room was full of water. Natsuhiko and Yuri put on the oxygen respirators. Watase held the air tank tube in his mouth. Ready to go, guys? Ready when you are. Okay, it's 500 meters to Lake Rokume. All we have to do now is walk. The three of them nodded at each other, and then slipped into the intake pipe. Once inside the pitch-black pipe, the three of them walked in silence. Watase led the way in front of Natsuhiko and Yuri with Yuri behind. No light reached inside the pipe, leaving their vision nearly useless. But still, they pressed on forward. To leave Labo, their prison of 9 hours. And little by little, Natsuhiko felt something that had been surrounding his body slowly fade away. It may have just been his imagination. It was an indescribable sensation. WX particles? Labo's interior was filled with WX particles, those elementary particles that tried to connect people, even if it meant rearranging their genes. Perhaps Natsuhiko had unconsciously felt their presence. No, the WX particle energy should have already decayed away. And what exactly? Natsuhiko didn't know. But when I think back, I feel like something was always right there beside me. In times of pain, in times of hopelessness, and in times of paranoia and doubt. It was always there with Natsuhiko, showing him which route to take. Natsuhiko couldn't help but feel that was the case. "You talking about me?" And just a few steps ahead of him, Watase thought the same thing. I get the feeling something's fading away. Something that had always been inside of me. The further they got away from Lapo, the more real that feeling became. But right before Watase could think any more about it, it suddenly got hard to breathe. Crap, the air tank's running low. Watase's heart throbbed in pain. How much longer until the exit? The path was dark and seemed to go on forever. God damn it, we've come this far. He desperately tried to keep walking, but the water resistance hindered his advance. His brain became oxygen deprived and his consciousness gradually grew hazy. Crap, can't breathe. Damn it, it hurts. Eventually his thoughts grew muddy. His memory hazed over as well. Why? Why does it hurt so much? Wait, where the hell am I even? What am I doing in a place like this? Why am I carrying this heavy thing? Eventually a faint light floated before Watase's eyes. That's right. To save everyone, I leapt into the gas. Area 3's inner ring was filled with oxygen-deficient air. Only a few minutes were left until it was time to administer AD. I need to get this AD to everyone, quick, or else everyone will die. He didn't want anyone to die. With his mind entirely devoted to that thought, Watase crawled forward. But the wounds he incurred along the way on his mission suddenly began to hurt. His fractured ribs, his gunshot wound to his flank, the laceration on the back of his head, his entire battered body. His throat felt like it was on fire from thirst, and all the vomiting he'd done, and his body was heavy as lead from all the exhaustion he'd built up. His lungs wheezed from the difficulty to breathe. His heart felt like it was about to burst. Damn it! Is this the end? Right when the last of Watase's strength was about to fade, a voice echoed in his head. Watase, what's wrong? Hang in there. That voice revived Watase's consciousness. He seems to have hallucinated for a second. Watase forcibly pumped himself back up and responded, I'm okay, just a little tired. Hang in there, it's going to be just a little bit further. Yeah. As Watase ravenously sucked in what little oxygen remained of the tank, he spurred his body to keep walking. Damn it, this little brat's always got the perfect timing. He's such a slave driver. He'd heard that voice countless times today, and countless times had that voice bestowed him with courage. Is that why I've always been trying to save everyone? He's just been leading me this entire time? No. He suddenly recalled a conversation he'd once had with Yuri. The third man factor? Well, I read about it in a book. When people are thrown into extreme situations such as disaster or accidents, they say that they hear a voice that isn't actually there. They also say that the voice is always telling a person what actions they should take. Sure is a strange phenomenon, that's for sure. Wonder why it happens. The human mind, their knowledge and memories, that is, works at its absolute best in extreme situations like this. And so it tells you what you should do in the form of a voice echoing in your head, perhaps. Memories, huh? Well, I don't have any of those. But it's said that even when you lose your memories, they leave behind a vague feeling. So perhaps in your case, that feeling in your mind was the strong desire to save people. The third man factor. Its true nature was most likely a strong feeling within the mind. The desire to save someone. That's right. That's what's always been driving me forward. And the other me who disappeared when I regained my memories. It wasn't just the feelings that propagated from Natsuhiko. The feelings of Wataru, Kazami, Jun, Ina, Ukita, Yuri, Mashiro, Salia, and everyone else Watase come into contact with had mixed inside his mind, becoming one single will. The will to live. And the will to save. Don't stop. Stay conscious. If I fall here, the two behind me can't advance. With that thought alone, Watase pressed forward to carry out his mission. Natsuhiko watched as Watase's steps became horribly unsteady. Natsuhiko reached out and pressed Watase's back. You can do it, Watase. And then wordlessly, Watase wrapped his arms around his back and grasped Natsuhiko's hand. Relieved, Natsuhiko sent telepathy to Yuri. You with us, Yuri? Yeah, I'm right here. Yuri's hand soon touched his back. Natsuhiko reached his arm behind himself and grasped her hand. In the midst of the cold sensation of the water, they felt each other's warmth. In the darkness without light, in the overwhelming black void where they lost sight of even themselves. The sensation of hands in his hands solidified Natsuhiko's consciousness. And then he felt the warmth of life. His heart was filled with the thought that he was not alone. By his presence and her presence alone, Natsuhiko was able to push forward. Just how far had he walked? Suddenly, the feeling of entrapment surrounding him vanished. He'd gotten out of the pipe. Natsuhiko had been thrown out into the depths of Lake Rokume. At that moment, the oxygen respirator fell out of his mouth. Crap, I need to get to the shore quick. Which way is the shore? Natsuhiko panicked at his disorientation, but the hands he held hadn't slipped out of his grip. In the dark depths, he faintly saw an orange uniform. Watase swam to the surface, still holding on to Natsuhiko's left hand. Relieved, Natsuhiko held his other hand tight as well. His right hand was connected to Yuri. How many times had he held that hand since he'd met her? This time he would not let her go. As Natsuhiko swore upon that oath, he saw light streaming down from above. They then brought their faces up out of the water and brought themselves ashore. Watase breathed furiously as he got out of the lake. Natsuhiko took a deep breath and looked at the two beside him. They were Watase and Yuri. Yuri took off her oxygen respirator and spoke to the other two. Hikiden, Captain Kasasagi. We're outside, aren't we? We made it outside, didn't we? Her eyes were wet with both the lake water and her tears. Yeah. That's right, Yuri. We survived. We made it. Natsuhiko's and Watase's shouts of joy resounded in the night sky. And thus they successfully escaped from Labo. Everyone was exhausted and their bodies were battered beyond belief, but regardless, all 9 had safely escaped with their lives. Thanks, Watase. Natsuhiko thanked Watase. I thought we were done for time and time again, but thanks to you, we're all saved. Watase looked away in embarrassment. I thought I told you that I don't deserve your gratitude. No, let me express my gratitude too. Thank you, Captain Kasasagi. Thank you for your hard work. We all really... After seeing Yuri get tearful again, Watase scratched his head. Look, I really don't need your thanks. I'm just keeping my end of the deal, that's all. What are you being so bashful for? That's not it at all, you brat. Watase looked away and then softly spoke. We got out of there thanks to everyone's hard work. Everyone's minds became one those last 10 minutes before the explosion. No, perhaps everyone's minds began to unify even before then. Thanks to your BC. No, that's not it, Watase. Natsuhiko firmly refuted Watase's statement. All I did was use untargeted telepathy to tell everyone the truth. And through that, sure, everyone came to know each other's feelings and began working for each other. But that can be achieved even without BC, can't it? You think so? I do. I had no choice but to use that drastic measure because we had no time, but I'm sure that by spending time to really talk to each other time and time again, any two people should be able to understand one another, even without using BC. Natsuhiko wished for that to be the case. Yuri nodded. I think so too, Captain Kasasagi. The 9 of us had several conflicts of our own. But we resolved most of them without using BC, didn't we? True. Right, take Jin and Professor Tsubakiyama for example. Yeah, those two bickered at first, but they stopped fighting before any of us knew it, didn't they? They sure did. The three survivors smiled at those words. You and Mr. Ikeda were the same way too, huh, Captain Kasasagi? Now that you mention it, yeah. When Watase lost his memories, the two of them fought and doubted each other. Well, if you're going to bring that up, it was the same with you and me, Yuri. I was bugged the hell out at first because I didn't understand why you hated me so much. Well, that was all your fault, wasn't it? That's right, you were really scary at first, you know. My bad. No, I've already forgiven you. Compared to the wounds everyone else incurred, a little strangling's no big deal. Huh? You got kind of strong, haven't you? You think so? Definitely not as strong as you though, Hikaden. Everyone laughed again. I don't know why, but I feel nostalgic. Somehow it feels like an old story. You're right, everything happened in just 9 hours, but I guess it's because we sort of peered through 9 entire lifetimes. After he said that, Natsuhiko suddenly remembered something. He had to contact Masato and the others in the rescue copter and have them come pick them up. Alright, gotta contact Masato and the others. Telepathy's perfect for times like these. Sure is. Guess super strong distance telepathy really proved to be useful in the end, huh? Natsuhiko nodded and sent telepathy to Masato. Masato, can you hear me? We've escaped. We're at the shore of Lake Rokume. Please pick us up with the helicopter if you can. No response from Masato. They were probably outside of her effective telepathy range, but Natsuhiko was confident that his own telepathy had reached her. Watase, I killed the helicopter just now. We'll have nothing to worry about once we board. Let's escape to a safe place outside Security Sector 6's reach. I see. So this really is the end, huh? Watase looked towards Labo. A pillar of smoke billowed. It was likely an after effect of the Tetral bomb. There was no doubt a huge commotion around Labo right now. We all got out alive, huh? Yeah, thanks to everyone's efforts. So 1/9 of that is thanks to you. That's true. Watase spoke with a depressed voice. Something about his tone was worrying. What's wrong, Watase? Do your wounds hurt? Without answering Natsuhiko's question, Watase posed one of his own. Say, Natsuhiko, Yuri, you remember what happened right after you erased my malice, right? Huh? I'm talking about that promise we made. The moment Watase said that, an abrupt coat of clouds covered the moon, casting his face in darkness. I do remember it, but... What about it? Remember what I said? Watase's voice caused Natsuhiko's heart to throb in pain. In exchange for helping everyone escape, once this incident is over, I'll bring Yuri over to Q. I kept my end of the bargain. So now, as he spoke, it's time for you to keep yours. Watase took the gun out of his pocket. What kind of joke is this, Watase? Natsuhiko opened his eyes wide and shouted. Watase had his gun pointed at them. Natsuhiko couldn't believe his eyes. We finally all made it alive. What do you think you're doing? Sorry, Natsuhiko. It's my mission. To bring Yuri back to Q. No way. Yuri's voice cracked. Natsuhiko shouted furiously. Watase, why are you so fixated on Q? Your true nature isn't a terrorist at all, right? You dedicated your life to saving people, didn't you? So how? How can you say that? That's exactly why I have to. In these 9 hours I came in touch with everyone's pasts, and little by little I came to understand everyone. But the more I confronted everyone's feelings, the more I came to harbour a certain thought. A thought? A thought about how the city's gone mad beyond control. You think so too, don't you? The Rokume city government has turned my life, yours and everyone else's into living madness. Over the course of years, they've stolen various things from us. The destruction of Labo probably won't even faze them that much in the long run. They'll just rebuild a similar facility, reconstruct the systems, and keep this mad world turning. And the only one who can stop them is probably Q. What about Professor Tsubakiyama and the ESP Bureau, or... The ESP Bureau's inaction up to this point has allowed these tragedies to continue, hasn't it? But if Q gets a communicator on their side, it'll turn the situation about on its head. I'm sure they'll be able to bring the Rokume city government and Labo top brass to judgment. So Yuri, please join us in our fight. What, you really think she can do that? If Yuri went along with the likes of you, that'd make her a terrorist, a wanted criminal, you know? She'd face countless dangers and become unable to return to this town. Even if it means breaking a promise, that's the one thing I cannot approve of. Watase laughed dejectedly at those words. I knew you'd say that. But just so you know, Natsuhiko, I really can't pull back this time. Something's got to be done, and someone's got to do it, or nothing will ever change. So Natsuhiko, this is the final choice. Choose which opinion takes precedence here, yours or mine. Whose side is justice on, yours or mine? Watase's face was full of conviction. Q may have been a terrorist organization, but it did conduct its actions with a just cause. Watase chose to stick to those intentions, even if it meant making enemies of Natsuhiko. But Watase's not simply sticking to his mission heartlessly. If Natsuhiko merely willed it, Watase's memories would disappear in an instant. And yet Watase didn't just attack Natsuhiko by surprise, meaning Watase really wants to leave the choice to me. And with that, we're going to wrap this one up because we're out of time for today, but we've got a couple of endings we can get to from here. Obviously, the Natsuhiko way or the Watase way. Watase's right, something does need to be done, but also, don't you think Yuri's given enough of her life for this shit? I don't know. I don't know which side is actually right. But we'll see what happens in the next one, I guess. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next episode.